Hey everybody, and welcome to this week's card of the week, which I've chosen to be Hydreigon from our brand new set, Dragons Exalted. This card has already been severely hyped before the set was even released, as it performed well in a very competitive deck in Japan, which will eventually make a decent showing over here. At first glance, we have ourselves a stage 2 dragon type, one of the first new types in a while to be introduced to the competitive trading card game, and it also has a single ability, 1 attack, weakness to dragon, and a pretty nice 150 HP. We still say pretty nice for a 150 HP stage 2, even though EXs blow that out of the water, but for a stage 2 this is still really good as it survives most attacks from most competitive Pokemon at the moment, apart from maybe Rayquaza EX, Zekrom EX and Bad Boar if anyone still plays that. Being weak to Dragon is going to be a problem though, as the new Dragon type cards are really set to become competitive when the new season kicks off, with Secret Rare Rayquaza and Garchomp just to name a couple. But less about that and more about what you already see on the card, the ability and the attack. Hydreigon's ability is called Dark Trance and simply states that you can move as many dark energy attached to your Pokemon to any other Pokemon on your side of the field as you like during your turn. This should immediately remind you of Klinklang, who has a very similar ability which ended up winning the largest tournament ever, US Nationals 2012, as I'm sure most of you know. But what makes this card different or possibly better than Klinklang? Well, first off, it does have more HP, which is only by 10, but Klinklang is going to be able to be one hit KO'd by this very Pokemon, making it considerably weaker to the deck we're going to be covering in a second, which Hydreigon is set to be included in. The main weakness from Klinklang's perspective though is that it has lost Rainbow Energy to Rotation, which the new Blend Energy really doesn't help it with. The best part about Klinklang was that you could use Darkrai to give it free retreat with Rainbow Energy if it happened to hit the active spot, as you could still move it around with Shift Gear. However, there is now no Universal Energy that covers both Metal and Dark Energy, a problem Hydreigon doesn't have as it allows you to just move Dark Energy. But aside from that, Hydreigon's ability is very good indeed. It allows you to manipulate all of your energy turn after turn with no downside at all, which also combos well with Max Potion, which we'll get to in a second. Onto the attack, and the cost is looking slightly awkward and slightly high, as it costs a Psychic, 2 Dark and a Colourless, but this attack does do 140 damage, with the downside that you must discard 2 Dark Energy to use the attack. Now all of these clauses and attack costs just scream to be comboed with Darkrai and Dark Patch, as you can cover your Psychic cost with the new Blend Energy, as you can still move it around with Dark Trance, and the attack gets Dark Energy into the discard to attach later on with Dark Patch. This is all the makings of an attack that can spring out of nowhere with the use of Dark Trance, and doesn't set you back too much in the right deck either. 140 damage is also an incredible amount of damage for an attack that is so simple to set up during the late game. It could finish off a damaged EX and take your last 2 prizes, or set up another Pokemon for a Night Spear KO the following turn if the situation arises. So I've been talking about Darkrai a lot in this card review, and that's because Hydreigon Darkrai is going to be a top tier deck when we hit the new season. The synergy between the two is just way too good to pass up, as you can attach energy with Dark Patch, move it around with Hydreigon, and abuse cards like Max Potion to keep your huge HP Darkrai's alive for as long as possible. This deck is set to be very competitive by September Battle Roads, and if you want to learn more about it, then head over to PokeClass episode 78, where I go over all the ins and outs of the deck. So onto the scores for Hydreigon, and it's looking really good for its playability. This card is set to create a brand new archetype which is bound to give it a high score, but it isn't without its downsides. It is a stage 2, which is still tricky to keep coming turn after turn in this format, and being weak to Dragon is always going to hurt when playing Mirror or any other deck that runs Dragons. So for playability, I think Hydreigon deserves at least an 8 out of 10. It had a great ability and an incredibly strong attack, but with it being a stage 2 and weak to Dragon, I couldn't bump its score up anymore. As for artwork, this just receives the 1 score as there is just one version of the card, and I'm on the fence about the artwork. On one hand, Hydreigon is looking pretty beastie, flying over some old dark city and unleashing its attack on whoever is in the way, but I'm not too big of a fan of the 3D looking artwork. I don't know why, but when they use 3D CGI for card art, it just looks a little bit strange, but that's just my personal preference. So for this card's artwork, I'll give it a very generous 6 out of 10. This is the highest I could give it, as the 3D effect on the Hydreigon really doesn't look like it fits with the background to me. And that is this week's card of the week. Thanks for watching this week's video, and please comment down below what you think of this card. I would appreciate it if you could leave me a like, and also subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.